All right, what's going on, all the peoples? What's up, all the peoples? Got a few things that I want to do here tonight. Number one, we are going to, we're going to learn about meeting a new Dragon Slayer or Dragon Hunter. I've seen multiple English translations of this new commander. We're gonna talk about meeting her. We're not gonna meet her. And in fact, I don't think we're gonna meet her for 3 months. I think we're gonna meet her in 3 months. Or 3 months and a week, or 3 months and a week and a half, really. Okay, whatever. So that's one thing that we're going to do. Another thing that we're going to do is that I want to recap my experience going for a Geist Stone this past weekend. And in fact, I did live stream the first 5 tasks of that Geist Stone. And it looked, because of the cost on my target scores, I ended up opting out after the first 5 tasks. However, what I didn't tell you fine folks is that after about 3 hours of thinking about it and going over my projections again, I decided that I should take a chance, lower my target score, which would lower my cost, and go for it. And originally, when I was doing the first 5 tasks, based on just how much they were costing, I was projecting somewhere between 800,000 gold and 1.2 million gold. However, after thinking about it for a few hours, and considering there was some stuff. So let's talk about it. Why did I go for a Geist Stone last weekend? And look, I won't do terrible spoilers to you guys. I got the Geist Stone. So super cool. And how much did it cost me? It cost me 350,000 gold approximately. So, way different than the 1.2 million or the 800,000 that made me go a little bit nuts on Saturday. So, what I have noticed is that, look, I've been looking at, ever since they put out the guild mobilization. Look, that Geist Stone is right at the top of that pyramid, and it's so friggin' shiny. And I knew that, I wanted it. I knew I wanted it. Obviously, a lot of people want it. But I saw people just laying down hundreds and hundreds of thousands of gold. And I always thought for over the past year, I have thought, that people spend too much on it. And I thought that it was possible to get it cheaper. And so what I did is I spent a considerable amount of time stockpiling materials for it, and then I did a dry run about 8 months ago. And on my dry run, I was able to get, I don't recall offhand, but the score was north of 61,000. It cost me about 70,000 gold, understanding that, It's not, look, it's an exponential increase. The higher you go with this, with your score, it just costs a huge amount. So it cost me 70,000 to get. So I think I got 61,800. That was about 8 months ago. And what I've been doing is we have some great people in the community. Chupa has been, every single week without fail for the very longest time, has been concatenating all the results of the minimum scores for Geist Stone. He's been posting them. And we have a channel on Discord, Diplomacy of War, where the only thing that goes in there is those guild mobilization results. So based on that, it's been pretty easy to track week over week. So I started looking at this. I threw the points on the calendar. I started looking at where is it that is there a way to project these when the minimum is going to go down for a Geist Stone? Because quite honestly, look, the first weekend, I forget what it was, but it was ridiculously low. I think it was like, 45 or 50,000, something like, or 56,000, something like that. And then after the first week, after the first 2 weeks, the spenders were like, oh, I could just keep refreshing and I could get the best score. So for the longest time, you had to at least get north of 62,000. Most weeks, it's north of 63,500 even, which is incredibly expensive. That's where you're going to spend your like 800K, your million, your 1.2 million gold. And I just knew that this was not necessary. So I've been tracking it for a while. And what I noticed is that the price dips. And look, obviously, I'm going to share this with you guys. Oh my goodness. I'm going to share it with you guys because it's no longer the case. So what I found is that, I'm not a nice person, okay, I'm a selfish person. But what I found is that the week following Galactic Battle, by and large, the cost dipped by like 3,000 to 5,000 points. Every single, it happened like clockwork every 4 months. I think that this is for a variety of reasons. I think number one, well, the people who would be spending that insane amount of money on a Geist Stone, they're getting 1 or 2 Spirit Stones come Monday anyway, so, why would they spend during the weekend? And then also there's the factor of, they just spent a ton, and GB is finally over, so give them a friggin' break already. So I think a lot of the spenders don't necessarily, I think they take a break right after GB, which makes sense. But here's the thing, here's the thing. So I got ready for this, I signed in ready to do this, and then, I started getting ready for this, rather, and then we have this week-long event that dropped before Guild Mobilization. And as soon as that happened, I knew, I had been thinking, since that happened, since the event started, this week-long event, I've been just going back and forth in my head, do I go for it? How is this going to impact my projections? Do I not go for it? Do I wait another 4 months? And I didn't want to wait another 4 months because, I had this plan to do this for about 11 months. It was after I noticed it a few seasons ago. Then I did a dry run. So I had this plan to do it. I didn't want to wait another 4 months. And more importantly than that, I thought that the presence of an event, the 7-day event, but, which is ostensibly a spender's event. So, I just thought that the event would throw things into an upset, because I'll tell you the truth, ladies and gentlemen, whenever there's an event, the worst time to go into Guild Mobilization and aim for a high score and aim for something really important, the worst time is during some event. And you could, sit there and say, well, Badger, that's all well and good, but Seven Pirates has events all the time now, and that's true. And it wasn't that way about a year ago. But now it is. And, there's events all the frickin' time. However, it didn't change the fact that there still were not events the weekend after GB. But this time there was one, so there was a whole week-long event. So I was going back and forth in my head. In the end of the day, in the middle of the week, I decided, look, I don't want to wait another 4 months. Let me give it a shot, understanding that this will increase the score that I needed. So, my plans for the past 8 months were to wait until this weekend or so, and this past weekend, and get the thing for a song, get this thing for 61,000 points. That was my plan. Come this week and they drop the event, and I'm thinking I have no way to forecast what kind of an impact this event will have on the spending practices on Guild Mobilization for a Geist Stone. That was a mouthful. But at the end of it, so instead of going for 61,000, I went in strong and started thinking, well, I got to get the max score. I got to get 63,700. And I got in order to get a decent task for my first task, I used something like 137 refreshes. It was insane. If you were watching it, and it's up there, I have the live stream is still up, and I haven't watched it. Normally I watch my live streams after and do some light editing. I can't bring myself to watch it because I remember it was 137 skips. I friggin' can't watch that. You know? But anyway, if you want to, you're welcome to. It's something I won't. But, so at any rate, I got the 137 skips in, and then I did like the first 5 tasks at like a maximum performance effort level, which, you know, read into that spending level. And then I realized, like, look, that cost me something like 80,000 gold or 100,000 gold. And at that point, I just went like, I gotta pull the plug on this. I gotta pull the plug on. Oh, here we go. Help. I gotta jump back. Okay. So, long story short, I mean, I'll get back into this. I'll explain a little bit after, but yeah, yes, I did get the Geist Stone. Yes, it cost me about 350,000. Let's go over the update, then I'll go back into how did I get that Geist Stone and what caused me to go for it in that manner. Okay, but that puts on the road. What is going on with this, by the way? Like, are they ever gonna fix this? It's been up for like 45 days. All right. New version. We're still new version. New Commander Dragon Slayer. Let's see if can we find Dragon Slayer? Can we click the thing? Okay. She is there. She is a pink robot with a tail. And that's probably supposed to be a sword. Look, 7 pirates, you keep adding in A-class comms. We want B-class and lower. Alright. Crushing Blow. Has 40% chance to trigger before next action. Current attack will always hit, and the attack power will be increased by 1%, so I guess it's 1% per level. I'm scrolling already because that sounds exactly to me like Golem. So current attack will hit, and the attack power will be increased by 1%. So it looks like Crush, not like Relentless Bombardment. So it probably won't increase on other damage on other slots. Okay, but whatever. But it's 40%. Okay, great. Shock Wave, not Shockwave. Right? This is Krylar pointed this one out. Where is he? Where is Jigen? Or Jigen? Jigen has Shockwave, which is one word. This is Shockwave, which is 2 words. Okay. Okay. Shockwave has a chance to trigger before next action. If it hits a target, then deals partial attack damage by percentage to all enemy targets. So this sounds like the next thing that we're gonna look at. I mean, it sounds like Sticky Bombs or like Chain Blast by Hoodoo. I guess we're gonna look. It's like an extra awakening. We're going to have to see. The important thing here is how does Crushing Blow and Shockwave, how does Crushing Blow feed into other skills? I'm looking at this comm. This comm is like, it's a straight damage comm. Doesn't seem to have any utility. But hey, it looks like you could get basically 2 awakening procs. I mean, that's a thing. I remember seeing on somewhere. Was there an image somewhere floating around? Let's see if I can rustle up an image of the frickin' skills. Is 60% also? Here we go. Okay. Sorry about that. Okay. Yeah, so I believe that Shockwave... Okay, we've got Crushing Blow. Crushing Blow is 40%, and this scales at 1% per level. And then we've got Shockwave, which is... From what 7 Pirates has put out on WeChat as of this morning, Shockwave is a 60% chance to proc, and damage is also 1% per level. So I mean, it's more damage than Awakening, right? Isn't Awakening 0.5% per level? Yeah. Okay. So look, this is a damage comm. I mean, we will see. I think that this is going to come out for Galactic Battle for next season. So it's good. Dragon Slayer is going to have a hard time going up against comms like Vega, Rogers, but I mean, we'll see. I mean, normally, look, I feel like when you do damage, when you want to do damage, you want to do it primarily to one slot, and yeah, it will do it primarily to one slot because it's 60% on the Shockwave and then 30% on the Awakening for damage, and you get 100% on the actual slot. But I mean, I don't know. I feel like it's not enough. I mean, we'll see. It looks like you're going to have to stack a lot of attack, and this will be a great comp to stack some penetration on. Alright, so that's Dragon Slayer, and I feel like, meh, that was a bad blind date. Buff the skills of Commander Hoodoo and Pictor. So I think we saw that this was an increase in Sticky Bombs and Chain Blast, right? No. Yeah, it looks like they added 0.5% for Chain Blast. Chain Blast was 1% per level. Now it looks like 1.5. And honestly, that's great for Hoodoo. Hoodoo needed some TLC. And then we got Sticky Bombs. Sticky Bombs was 1.5%. Now it is 2%. So great. I mean, look, I feel like Walkers needed some, attention. So yeah, let them have this. I don't know if people are going to start like playing Pictor really. I feel like, look, I like Hoodoo, but Hoodoo is a utility comm, but I feel like Full Metal is the ultimate utility comm right now. So I think that people who would run some of these other comms, like, they're probably running Full Metal now. We'll have to see how it impacts the meta, but I don't think by much, to be quite honest with you fine folks. And then we've got improves game details and some bug fix. Okay. So let's talk a little bit more about this Geist Stone thing, because whatever. That comm is... We knew that they needed to add a comm, because if they weren't going to add a comm, what are you going to get at the end of GB next season? And whatever. So they added a friggin' comm. So... Continuing on what I was talking about with Geist Stone. So, originally, I had just a quick recap, if I'm able to do that at all, is I had originally planned for a long time to target a weekend after GB, directly after GB. Generally, the spenders go and hibernate for a week. But we had this week-long event, and okay, when spenders hibernate for a week, generally a Geist Stone goes for under 61,000. I've even seen it go for under 60,000. Normally, of course, it's like 63,500, 63,700, etc. But sometimes it's in the high 62s. So when that's what happens when spenders hibernate. However, when people have gold, people spend that gold, and they'll spend that gold on GGM a lot of the time. And so they'll get higher scores. So I don't necessarily think that I was competing against, like, hyper spenders over the weekend, but I think I was competing against, like, mid-tier spenders, people, like, kind of my level, versus, like, the 800 million power players. So I went through the first 5, and I was thrown for a loop because of this event. I was not projecting for 7 Pirates to run an event, but I think that they probably did it because they noticed the huge drop-off in gold spends the week after GB. So, look, I mean, to their credit, they didn't wait until the end of the week. They started a week-long event in the middle of the week. I think, props to them. It was good financial planning. So, I think that I was competing mainly against mid-tier spenders, so I had to make a determination as to how much of a score to go after. And so at first I was going after like a quote unquote perfect score that would have cost me about anywhere between 800,000 gold and 1.2 million gold. And I started it with about 1 million gold, so I wasn't prepared to go bankrupt on this thing. I was prepared to spend up to 600k, but I had hoped to spend under 500. In the end, I spent about 350. So I spent about 100,000 gold on those first 5 missions in order to get a quote-unquote perfect score. Then I threw in the towel. I sulked for about 3 hours, and I started looking at some of my projections, some of my data, and I had to, if I was going to continue on, which I already had 80 to 100k in the game. I mean, obviously you don't throw good money after bad, but being that I already had 80 to 100 in the game, and being that all indications from Seven Pirates have been that they are not going to decrease the frequency of events, and because that, I came to the realization over the weekend that I could no longer rely upon next season there being a cheap Geist Stone the weekend after GB. So the fact that I decided that I could no longer rely on a dip in Geist Stone cost in the future made me realize, like, this is basically either I go for it this weekend, except that it's going to be a little bit pricier than I originally planned to spend, which I had thought I could pick this thing up for like 61,000 points, and it would cost me like 200k or 250k gold. So understanding that I would never have access to that kind of opportunity again, and that this very well might have been my best opportunity, even though it inflated the cost, I did some math on it, and I realized, you know what, I think I could get this for under 600,000 gold if I accept just a small decrease in performance. And then I started looking at I looked at the past 12 weeks worth of Geist Stone scores. So I looked at an entire season's worth of Geist Stone scores, and I picked somewhere basically in the lower 63,000 range rather than the upper 63,000 range. Which, I mean, all said and done, I'm talking about lowering my standards by 400 points. You know, those 400 points, though, ended up being a difference of hundreds of thousands of gold. It's insane. So anyway, I lowered my standard by about 400 points on the scale. So instead of 63, 750, I was now going for 63, 350 points. And I realized that if I did that, I would beat the last 8 I would beat 8 of the last 12 minimum scores. So based on that, I said, you know what, this is worth the risk, and it's if I could limit my spend somehow to under 400k, and even if I don't get it, I'll at least feel like I did a decent shot at it, where I could, cross it off the list and say, you know what, it's just not attainable. In the end, I fell 3 points shy of my goal. Instead of 63,350 points, I got 63,347 points. But I did walk away with the Geist Stone. It cost me about 350k. And yeah, I mean, look, it took some hours. It was considerably easier than going for a perfect score, obviously, but also it decreased my spend to about, we'll say like a quarter or a third, if we're speaking a little bit conservatively, basically I paid about a third of what I would have spent if I went for a perfect score. So why do I say all of this? Why am I taking the time to explain all of this? I'm taking the time to explain all of this to point out that it's incredibly expensive to go for a Geist Stone. And to me, honestly, this past weekend was the culmination of about 11 months worth of, worth of preparing and analysis, and just waiting. And at the end of it, it got thrown into an upset because something like I didn't possibly project got thrown into the mix in that we had an event. So I would say for most people, unless you're planning to be able to spend upwards of, a 500, 600, 700K gold, and understanding that it is a complete toss-up because, so few people actually bid on this thing. It's under 100 bids per week. So if like a certain amount, if like 7 of the highest spenders in the game, just so happen to not put in for the Geist Stone that weekend, like it could bring down the score by as much as like 800, 900, or even 1,000 points. The problem is that when you're talking about a sample size that low of like 100 people bidding on this thing, you really have no idea as to what's going to happen. Like, it's very difficult to project for this. So basically, this is my very, very long-winded way of saying that based on the way that Seven Pirates, based on the frequency of events that puts more gold in more people's pockets, I don't feel it's financially viable to go for a Geist Stone anymore. Like, I'm happy I got it for 350K. I will not be doing this again. I will, and one of the reasons that I did decide to move forward on this is that we were in the middle of a spend event, so I did at least get some return when I hit certain tiers, but this is not something that I would do again. Like, I would prefer to use my gold to obtain a Geist Stone or a Spirit Stone, say, like, by increasing my performance in Peak. And, I mean, Peak is great. Peak is freaking great, because look, where is it? Is it here? Yeah. These come around every month. And honestly, for your spend, the rewards here are way better, and they'll get you to a Geist Stone quicker in many... Well, not quicker. I mean, you can't get quicker than a weekend. But it'll get you quicker than in GB. Even if you're in the top 500 scorers in the senior division, you're going to get 15 frags. So, like, in 7 months... That's it, right? I mean, you got it. So, I mean, and you might look at that situation and go like, yeah, but that's 7 months, Who wants to wait for 7 months? But honestly, unless you're just going to, like, be a wallet warrior, sometimes that's actually the turnaround on some of these things that you prep for. 7 months is not the longest amount of time, especially not in this game, where stuff swings one way, then it swings another way. The mechanics are constantly changing. GB as a season is 4 months anyway. 7 months is not a huge amount of time. So my advice, or I'll tell you what, even beyond that, I mean, you could get it in World Event. Look, it's clear I don't play a lot of World Event, but you could get your frags here, 3,000 honor medals per frag. That's great, honestly. So my advice to people is don't use GGM anymore for a Geist Stone. I think in the very beginning, it was doable. But I think that the more people who just get skin in the game and the more people who want it's just becoming untenable. And I wouldn't want you to... And it's all on a chance. That's the biggest aspect of it. It's all just a complete chance. And so you could drop... Look, I used 350K gold. You could use 350K gold. You could spend 700K gold and not get it. I could have very easily not gotten it. And that would have made me very sad. So... But if you go for peak performance, if you go for a world event, you're going to get something out of it. So I definitely recommend going into those modules to get your Geist Stone. And for GGM, use it to get gear, use it to get, like, look, if you don't want to spend anything, use it to get mags, honestly. So, I mean, again, look, I did spend 350K gold. I did get it. There's my Geist Stone. I'm happy I have it. I gotta figure out where to slot it. Dragon Slayer's a thing. I think it's going to be for GB. And then we got these, I appreciate 7 Pirates fixing some bugs, and then, of course, adding on some extra damage to Walker comms, because they needed it. So thanks a lot for joining me here, guys. They'll catch you on the flipper sides.